me here. We've got the final drive ready to go and have a few bits and pieces done to it. And first up, we're just going to bump this bearing cone in, and excuse me, I'll bloody get the right, that's home. You can see that bounce in the plate. So that tells you it's nice and home. It's good as it's going to be. We can't get any further. Okay, next cab off the rank is this little, gee, I banged my finger then. I'll have to complain to upper middle management. The next cab off the rank is going to be the brake pedal shaft bush, and this was the right hand side that had the Welsh plug here missing out of it. So we've identified the Welsh plug, and we found a nice brass one that'll do the job. So I'll get a little bit of oil around here. We'll just put a smear around and we'll bang this bush in. Okay, now all we're looking to do is just put a little bit of oil down the bore. Look, I probably should have done that on that bearing too. So just a little oil down the bore, so when we go to punch this bush in, it'll want to go in. So look, all I've got for this job, it's a long socket. What size is it? A 7/8 long socket with a nice smooth flat base there. So I bring my drive down in from the other side, try and square him up. Just start gently. Nice and gentle. People say you shouldn't hit the end of your sockets here, but when I used to work out in the bush for years, you used whatever you had. You got the job done. You got the job done for the customer best way you could. There was no travelling back 100 kilometres, 200 kilometres or whatever to get the right tool. If you forgot it or anything like that, you may do. Okay, now this little brass Welsh plug here, what I like to do with them, any Welsh plug, is there's a Loctite product called 515, or Bearcoat in Australia has a great copy for half the price called R51. It's really good stuff. So all we're doing here, we call it strawberry jam. This looks like strawberry jam. Now the bit that's gone down into the bush, we take that out now. We'll also wipe it again. So now that that bush is in, I'm just going to use the end of my socket once more. And expand that plug out. See, I can't push that out if I want to now. So before any Loctite sets, we hop up into the hole there, clean it all out. Now the original bush was only 1/2 inch thick, and this bush is the full width of that housing almost. So we have a lot more bush surface area. So that has to be a good thing to spread the load. Right, that feels good. Right, now to the lower link pin. Now, look, it's up to you how you do this, but what I choose to do is when I put the pin in, I have it so where the linkage arm goes on, that little pin that holds the linkage arm castellated nut, the cotter pin here, I have it so it's straight up and down, so it's not forward, back, straight up and down. It's just, and look, that's just a personal thing. Whether you do that or not doesn't really matter. It's something I choose to do, but yeah, look, entirely up to you. Now, I had a little washer here that went in here. Well, I don't know what I've done with that. I'll have to find it. Hang on a sec. Now, another point of interest I mentioned earlier is the brake pivot bush, where this brake shaft comes out across. We're replacing the bushes in that because we had one buggered one. And look, this is the width of the old bush. That's the width of the new one. So what happens though is the shaft gets a little worn patch in it, this width, about as wide as that there. And it's not quite double, but anyway, this sets the shaft up in a new position, but it doesn't wear on the full surface for a while until it gets there. But anyway, by putting a bit of grease in, it'll last a long time. But yeah, that's the old genuine one, I believe, versus the new Sparex one. I can't give you the part number of that. When I got it at work, it come with other goods, and they popped it in a little Bearco bag for me. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Okay, here it is. So what we do, we bring the pin up in onto the taper. Now, I've really cleaned that taper out. I've gone as far as I can with that. This taper here, we really make sure there's no nicks, burrs, anything like that. And what happens is it comes up through the taper, then the washer goes to spread the load of the nut, and then the nylock nut comes on. And I was wondering when I pulled it apart about the nylock nut, and it looks like when you look at the 35, they probably did have a nylock nut. In the parts book, you can find sometimes there's another nut there, but there's a spring washer under it. It doesn't look to be a cancellation, which I could sort of remember it being a cancellation. So, and look, what I'm doing here, I'm just going to put a little bit of 680 Loctite retaining compound on it. That's for two reasons. Holy, that's enough, Lance. Geez. Two reasons. One, it helps it pull up into there and you know, lubricates it coming in. And 680, if you've ever had anything to do with it, you'll know that bastard won't come out on you. And also, it'll help seal it. So we're ready to rock and roll here. So with the hole straight up and down, I go straight up in the hole, give it a bit of a tap from the bottom end. Put the washer on and the nut on. Then holding the bottom, where are we? I'm going to have to get a little spanner to hold that. So the nut's done right up at the bottom here. We've got the hole straight up and down still, which is what we wanted. So that's nice and tight. I'll just check it doesn't want to go. I don't think that'll be going anywhere. Won't be breaking. Now that nut, I better loosen that off again underneath here now. And the split pin hole is still straight up and down. So in this end, that's about all we can do. I'll turn him upside down and we'll put the outer, or the inner axle seal in. Just a point of interest while we're doing the final drive and everything is, you'll recall I put the new pin in the bottom down here, and one thing that I wish the aftermarket companies would do is get a bit more accurate with the size of things. Like that there is the original nut that an 1 1/16 spanner fits, and that there's the one they supply. So yeah, way smaller, just doesn't look anywhere near as good. So it's the same thread, everything fits. So yeah, in this instance I have a hardened steel washer there that goes up against the ball, and we'll tidy up, probably bead blast that nut and use the standard nut. But yeah, aftermarket stuff, it's all right, but boy, you've got to keep your eyes open. Yeah, it's not, I don't reckon it's as good as it could be. They could take a little bit of care for things like that. Now, for people restoring tractors like myself and like many of my friends that like to take them on shows and have a play with them and things like that, that is something that we look for, something that's accurate. The fellow that just wants to put a slasher, a topper, a bush hog, whatever you call them, wherever you live in the world, they're probably happy just to have that go up and hold the arm on, and I'm sure they are. But for restoration quality parts, I reckon, yeah, they should get their act together a bit better. That's Sparex too. Geez, I'll have to have a talk to me rep. All right, we've turned the axle or the trumpet housing upside down, and we'll just smear a bit of oil around that surface. Now we have S5947, the axle seal. Now the axle seal goes with the lip here and the spring down towards the oil. So you have your bearing, your axle bearing that has grease and oil with it here. You have it in the outer axle seal here. So this little seal here does a big job. It actually keeps the oil out of there, and if it's out of there, well, it can't get through the other bearing. Even if you have a crook outer bearing seal, it can't actually get through there. So I have a little disc that I must have made one time for this. Once again, make sure it's all square if you can. And you'll feel that's just made it to the bottom of the bore for the seal. So there it is there. I've put a bit of grease on that already. Now the grease is for when you slide the axle in. When you slide the axle in, don't just push the splines across it, try and support them as they come through here. So that trumpet housing's pretty well done. Now if I bring you over here a little, you'll see that this surface here has been bead blasted, and so is this flange here. And look, normally you don't need to do that. I just did that because with the with painting it, when you look at tractors that have been restored and painted up and that, a lot of people leave paint around the nuts and bolts, and you can see where the nuts and bolts have been off at some stage, and they haven't cleaned the tractor properly to paint it. And whether you do that or not, look, that's got nothing to do with the axle job. That's just something I chose to do, in case you were wondering. All the nuts that go back with those studs, they'll all have the heads cleaned, because often you see tractors painted and the paint that's been cracked off the nuts when people have been working on the tractor, it flakes. As the new thinners gets to it, the paint curls up. So if there's no paint there, you can't have that. So anyway, that's just something I've chosen to do. And if you saw the flange bare, that explains it for you.